Welcome to Another View with Amarachi. I am your host, Amarachi AGK, and as usual, I have my beautiful friends who are always keeping it real with us on the show. Oge Anu, Tawa Adala were looking so beautiful, and the wonderful Falake Shabomo. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you. Usually on the show, we keep it real. We talk about things that affect African immigrants living in Canada. And today, we will be talking about a clash of African parenting culture versus the Canadian parenting culture. This is a big one, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, generally, do you guys agree that there's been a significant change in parenting styles compared to what our parents, the style that we grew up in, and are you practicing this modern parenting and all the old school, or you're just,
in between?
Yeah.
Look, Amarachi, the change is a beautiful and a positive one, and I'm leaning towards that direction. I'm trying to do away with some of the things our parents, trained us with. Things are changing, times are changing, so you need to evolve. You need to drop that old school way of parenting and pick it up. If not, things will just go bad for you. Things can go south.
Oh yeah.
So, but that's the truth. Things can go south. So yeah, positive change. And I love this style of parenting. I love that the parents are more in tune and they're listening to their kids, unlike before where parents, when a child says something, the parents will be like, oh, yeah, child, you're not probably saying the truth. But now I'm seeing parents, when the child say, oh, this happened, they investigate and they take it to the end. So yes, I love
So they're beginning to trust the kids more.
I love it.
Lucky those kids. So lucky. Like, there's a change. There's definitely a change. I can tell because, like, when I was in South Africa compared to when my parents are here now, there's a change. I look at my siblings, I'm like, you guys don't even know how good you have it. You don't even understand. Like, my sister can complain and whine. Me, I still don't know how to complain and whine to this day. I wish I just keep my mouth shut and I nod. My sister will actually stand up and and I'll be like, wow.
Like, this is what I want.
The audacity.
The bravery. And I'm like, you might be younger than me, but dang, I look up to you. I wish I could. I wish I could.
Yeah.
I'm more in between, and the reason I say that is there's a whole lot that I don't agree with.
With
as
the
a
change?
child, with the way we parent, back home, because as a child I was somewhat of a rebel myself, so I was a non-conformist, I was that kid who would stand up to an adult and how an adult comes to report you that you've done something and I want to have my say. I try not to shut my kids now, like Oge said. I like the fact that now there's that communication. I love that because that's something I wish my parents, allowed me to do. Like, back home, kids are meant to be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
Whatever an adult
Exactly.
says,
You can't talk.
it goes. Yeah, and I feel that's really not very good because sometimes these kids have a very valid point.
Whatever I say is
Oh.
law.
For like, I'm going to say all the time they are right. All the time.
Not all the time. Not all the time.
Not all the time.
Not all the time. Okay.
These adults could be so funny. And they could exaggerate things, right? They could just exaggerate things out of place. And your parents would be like, oh, bad child, I trained you better. And you're like, but this is not how it happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And in trying to explain those things to them, you come off very rude.
Yeah.
Right? For me, I think the change is very imminent, and the spanking has actually, it's fading away gradually. The way to discipline the kids is becoming no longer looking like the forceful way that we whatever I say is law. If you are not doing this, then you are actually a bad kid. You're doomed for hell and all the rest, stuff like that. So, but this question is for you, how old were your kids when you moved here?
So my little one was 5 and the older one was 9 going to 10.
Oh yeah, so she's about 12 now?
Yeah.
Oh, good. So what are the challenges that you've experienced or you're experiencing with parenting since you moved to Canada, and how are you managing them?
If you actually take the time to sit down with them, you find out that they're just not being naughty. Like, I found out for my kids, they just want that time with mommy. So I have someone staying with them, but it's not the same. They just want your attention. So if me being naughty is what it takes for you to focus on me, then yes, let's do it. At the end of the day, even if it's for you to shout at me, at least I have your attention.
How about like the environment, you know?
In terms of the environment, one thing, and I'll give you this very, very funny example that there's a lot of influence from friends. So certain things that you do in the house, they come back and they're wondering why it's like this. So my oldest daughter does the dishes and sweeps the floor.
Yeah.
So when our sister turned 6, because she started washing plates at 6, so she goes, so now that she's 6, when is she going to start doing the dishes? I mean, why do I have to be the one doing it all the time?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you know what? She doesn't know how to manage the water and everything. You still do it. And then she got angry and like, I'm just a slave in this house. None of my friends wash dishes, you know? And you know, this is something back home, I'm sure she wouldn't do that. She would just, because everybody has your choice. You know?
I'm just keep at it.
You are the dishwasher.
There's a lot of influence because they see their friends, you know, and they'll come back and they'll ask questions. And if you as a parent are not matured enough to handle it, it's going to become messy, just like Oge said.
Yeah.
Go
So, you know, that brings me to say, you know, from my years of living here, I actually noticed like what we African parents call disrespect might not actually be disrespect to a Canadian parent, you know. So, you know, the question now is, what are the things that you consider disrespectful that might not be, you know, based on, you know, your exposure now, that might actually not be disrespectful in this environment? And how do you think we can actually find a balance? Because we're humans, right? And we had a culture that we grew in. So there are certain things that I know that when my son says those things to me, I'm like, whoa, okay, that is rude. And he's like, no, Mom. It's just me saying, I'm like, okay, maybe you can use that very pronoun or that very verb, that very adjective with your friends. Yeah. But with mommy and daddy, that comes off rude. And I and Victor have that conversation. I'm like, is it really rude? Yes, it is. You know, that's how we. Yeah. So how do you guys see that? What do you call disrespect? But honestly, in this environment, it's not disrespect. And how we find in balance?
My son, and he says, nope. And I'm like, no. You can't use nope
I do
with me.
That.
I'm like,
I do that, yes.
Really?
Hey,
Yeah,
look.
nope and no.
Yeah, no.
It's a yes.
It is no or yes. You know? and I'm sure in his head is like, what's the difference?
And I understand that because I grew up, like, I didn't talk back. I still don't talk back to my parents. Even if I think I'm right, I just say, okay, I just move on. But bro, my sister, I will forever use my sister as an example for this. I love this girl. Because if she feels she's right, she's like, I don't care if they don't understand what I'm saying. I will speak my piece.
Whoa.
And I'm just like, and she will talk, and she will argue, and she will argue, and she'll argue. And I'm looking at this girl, I'm like, wow, you're making such amazing points. You're just making them to the wrong people. But like, honestly, I look at her, I'm like, oh, this is
But
good.
do you think, honestly, that she comes off disrespectful?
To them, yes. Because me and her
No, for you now.
For me.
Yes.
No.
Do you think she... No?
I don't, for me, if she was talking to me like that, because like, we talk often, but again, I'm a sister, so maybe I'm a bit biased. But for me, it's like, she's just trying to say how she feels, how she's seeing it. And honestly, it's like, oh yeah, you're making points. And sometimes, every now and again, every blue moon, my parents are like, oh, okay. And it's like, and like me, those days I actually look at them, I'm like, wow, your minds can be, like, again, it doesn't happen often. Oh yeah. My God, when it happens, it's beautiful. Yeah. Like,
who are you and what have you done with my
exactly,
parents?
like, I could have been changing you all this time.
Wow.
And there's something about first kids, they go through all the training, you know?
Yeah. Exactly.
They go through all the training.
It's not fair.
There's this one that I've noticed, and it's common with us Africans. You know, when like an elderly person and you walk past a younger person, you expect that child to greet you first.
Yeah.
And if they don't greet you, it comes off as rude. Now, while I don't have anything against greeting, but personally, I don't think it's disrespectful. I mean, why can't you greet why can't you greet the child?
Yeah.
So, and what got me, you know, to have that mindset change is, in one of the previous places I worked, there was this, we had student co-ops, and they were very young.
Oh.
Well, because it's a work environment. They call me my first name.
Wow.
Sometimes I go in and I'm even the one. Oh, hi, good morning. So it got me thinking that. So why then do I walk beside the youths in my church or in my area and I feel they should greet me first? So I think it's more of a cultural thing because if these people, if it was a work environment, you wouldn't expect them to do that.
Colleagues, right? It doesn't matter. The one for me, honestly, is communication. Sometimes it could be misinterpreted. Like, I know Victor had a friend whose son, I don't know if I've told this story on the show before, and the little boy told the dad, oh, you're mad. And you know in Nigeria, what that meant. Even in Africa in general, like when you tell somebody you're mad, it means you're. And the guy didn't find it funny. He's like, you're actually telling your father that he's mad. And he was like, yeah, you're doing it again. So you're mad. So it took a while before he understood. It took his siblings to actually make him understand that, no, he's not saying like you're going cuckoo or crazy or something. He's just saying you're angry. So he could have actually pounced on that boy if he doesn't have a control of himself, because it's just like telling your parents to the face, like, oh, this is what it is. So, but when he was actually telling Victor, I laughed. I'm like, so we really have to find a balance. Hear them when they talk. Sometimes I ask Bloom, like, what do you mean? That's the thing. I usually say, like, what do you mean when you
when they're talking to you and they're like, you guys.
Oh,
I don't like
yeah.
my daughter says it all the time. You guys. No. We're not guys, please. You can use that when you're with your friends.
Yeah, I say that. So recently I started saying to him that it's okay to say that. It's not disrespect, but to mommy and daddy, maybe not the right choice of words. So, and he'll be like, so what am I supposed to say? And I would be like, okay, say stuff like the nope, the yeah. No, it's no or yes.
No, yes.
And then masa, if like you're talking to your grandma, is ma, not just keep talking. Yes, ma. Yes, sir. I still try to maintain that. I don't know. Maybe I'm still stuck in the culture. Anyway, so now that we're talking about grandma, grandpa stuff, knowing that most of the kids will most likely not be returning back home to start a family. I don't know if you guys agree or you think the kids are going to be going back.
Go back to where?
So do you think it's still necessary to actually consciously teach them the African culture or your personal, your personal culture and values?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So what cultural practices have you been teaching your kids and how are they taking it?
So I teach my son Igbo, how to speak Igbo. He's learning, so he knows Isi, his head, his hands, he knows his leg. I'm teaching him the body parts, and I always want to take them back home at least once every 2 years. Show them where their parents grew up, where they came from, and being an Igbo girl, take them to the East, because why wouldn't you go to the East? I have to show you where your grandparents, where they grew up from. So take them back to the East and show them food, different types of food that they can
you cook
eat.
Your traditional food here already,
oh,
right?
I do.
And that's what they eat.
I do, absolutely. Wood, everything. Yeah. Soup, rice, whatever. I cook mostly Nigerian food.
Swallow.
Yeah.
Love swallow.
With any kind of soup?
Yes.
Wow.
Especially okra.
But they still get to eat lasagna, right?
Well,
or pierogies.
I don't know how to make them, but
in school, right? They usually would serve like in daycares. They eat all of that in daycare.
Absolutely.
They do.
Oh.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, in my case, okay, what did my parents teach us? Well, they tried to teach us the language. Sadly, we have been a great disappointment. We understand it. It's just like speaking it is, but like imagine me speaking Yoruba in this accent. No.
Trust me, it would be nice.
Would it be nice?
Yes, it would. Like if you had your South African accent and then you speak the Yoruba with it, I'm sure by now we're begging you to be doing public speaking.
It would be nice, but I sadly don't have talent for languages. My talents lie elsewhere. It's okay. We have made peace.
How about other things?
Okay, but they taught us the basic Yoruba greetings. So I know how to at least greet everybody that I meet. I know to like go down on my knees, depending, and how low I go depends on how old the person is.
Does your brother press straight on the floor?
If
Like he has to push
if he sees grandpa, his chest is on the ground. It's
Wow.
okay. It's okay. My dad too. He will touch the ground when he sees his father. Yes.
Your dad?
Oh yeah. Yeah. The man has a bad back, so I'm very proud of him. No, so like he taught us like at least the basics, how to be respectful, how to actually talk to people that are older than us, and how to actually like engage with people in our culture. Sure, we can't speak the language, but we can speak the culture, which is important because they used to take us home every single year. So, and it was good, especially for my parents. It made them look really good. They made us look like, oh no, they're still raising their kids right, you know, despite the fact that they're not in Nigeria, they're not spoiled brats. We made our parents look really good. Like, really good.
It's amazing how people make that just because somebody greeted you. I mean, you've not had any conversation, you've not had any interaction, and it just goes to show how much there's a lot of perception in certain things that we hold in high esteem. So I teach my kids the greeting. I teach them the language. My younger one, he's not speaking at all. Like every time you go, she just makes that face that makes you feel it sounds strange. I said, yes, if you weren't speaking English, it would sound strange too. But we're still on that. They greet. And then the dressing. So anytime I have my folks coming from Nigeria, I just bring them stuff. And for my little one, I encourage her. They do show and tells in school. So I'll give her choral bead, go talk about it, about how the Benin people use this to dress their princesses. So it's giving them a sense of, oh, so we have all these beautiful things about Nigeria, you know, because it's important for their self-confidence and self-esteem as well, understanding that they come from a rich and beautiful culture.
That's actually very awesome. Let's just hold it right there. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us, please.